Morning people, welcome back to F Politics. After this week, I think we need to make Dawn Butler the Queen of Parliament, or whatever title we need to come up with. It basically means she runs the whole thing. Like, if her feet get uncomfortable, then Lindsay Hoyle needs to bring her a fresh pair. If she gets tired of seeing Nigel Farage's face, he needs to sit facing backwards for the rest of the day. Because this is getting ridiculous. How has this happened again? I'm sure you've seen the footage of Dawn Butler nearly getting thrown out of Parliament for calling Sarah Pochin, the Reform MP, a racist.
The member for Runcorn and Helsby said, "It drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people." The member also said, "It doesn't reflect our society." Madam Deputy Speaker, as the MP for Brent East, one of the most diverse constituencies in the UK, you can be black and brown and be British, so I'm completely offended by that comment. It is a racist comment, Madam Deputy Speaker, and can you imagine the constituents of that MP going to see her knowing that she's a racist?
Order. Can the Honourable Lady please reflect on her language and withdraw the remark about another Honourable Member in this place?
And if we cannot call that comment out in this House...
It's not the comment that the Honourable Member is referring to, it's the fact that that she called the member a racist that is the issue. If you can please reflect on your remarks of calling a member of this House a racist and stick to the comments being a racist. It may be that she considers that that is dancing on the pin of her head, but it's important that we all act with respect and set an example to the country.
Given me deja vu, I appreciate that in this House that we are not supposed to be disrespectful and call members of Parliament, MPs, what they actually are.
And can you please consider withdrawing the comment about a member of this House being a racist?
I don't want to be thrown out of Parliament again. So I will withdraw the fact that I am referring to the Member of Parliament as a racist because of her racist comments.
Like seriously, what is the bar? What is the standard of proof that you need to be able to call somebody a racist? Because Sarah Pochin said on camera, on a national broadcast, that it makes her mad, it drives her mad when she sees adverts full of black and brown people. Like literally judging an advert to the point of fury because of the color of the skin of the people that she's seeing. That's like as close to a definition of racist as you can get. Because personally, you know what makes me mad? It's seeing a black woman repeatedly told off in Parliament for simply calling out racism against black people. And it's insane because you're allowed to call somebody like left wing or right wing in Parliament, no issues. But like, what's the definition of right wing if we're talking about an issue such as race? We are talking about being racist. So in issues of like, say, class, you're allowed to call somebody a capitalist, i.e. right-wing on the economy, but when it comes to race, somehow you're not allowed to call somebody what they actually are. It is literally protecting white supremacy, and doing so at the expense of the truth, especially when it's not the first time, because you remember this, right?
The Prime Minister has lied to this House time and time again, and it's funny that we get in trouble in this place for calling out the lie rather than the person lying.
Order. Please reflect on your words and withdraw your remarks.
Deputy Speaker, I've reflected on my words, and somebody needs to tell the truth in this House that the Prime Minister has lied.
Under the power given me by Standing Order number 43, I order the member to withdraw immediately from the House for the remainder of the day's sitting.
Dawn Butler was thrown out of Parliament a few years ago for simply calling Boris Johnson a liar and refusing to back down. And then just a few months later, a parliamentary inquiry did conclude that Boris Johnson misled Parliament over Partygate, i.e. that he is a liar. So Parliament punished Dawn Butler for saying something that Parliament itself then later decided was actually true. That on its own should have earned Dawn Butler basically the ability to say whatever the hell she wants. And now once again, Dawn Butler is being told off in relation to Sarah Pochin for telling the truth. Our parliamentary system is literally set up to protect liars and racists. And on a personal note, it kind of links to the reason that I'm not a lawyer despite having a law degree. Because for me, I realized in law school that being a lawyer probably wouldn't cut it for me because the rules of the system itself were wrong. The first time that really stuck out to me was when we were learning about the crime of theft, because the definition of theft is to appropriate property belonging to another dishonestly with the intention to permanently deprive that person person of that property. Which means that a key element of the crime of theft is dishonesty. Now, for the jury to find that a defendant acted honestly, that means that either the jury thinks the defendant acted honestly, or the jury believes that the defendant believed that the average person would have found his actions to be honest. Now, the problem with that rationale is bad people don't think they're bad people. Bad people think that anybody else in the same circumstances would do the same thing, whereas good people are more likely to judge their actions more harshly, which means that under that rule, a bad person is more likely to be set free and a good person is more likely to go to jail. The system was set up in a way that protected bad people. Now, granted, that specific rule has changed since I was at law school, but you see the point. Right now, we have a black woman who is standing up against Boris Johnson, against the Reform Party. Boris Johnson, who told probably the most damaging lie in the history of UK politics, when he promised people that leaving the EU would make us £350 million a week richer, and instead it made us £100 billion a year poorer, while ripping apart the fabric of British society by making everybody hate each other. And now we have the Reform Party, a party that is likely to be the next government, a party whose leader was just on stage with somebody who pled guilty to inciting racial hatred by calling for asylum seekers to be burned alive, and even when one of their MPs explicitly says she doesn't like seeing black and Asian people on TV, Dawn Butler isn't allowed to call her racist and nearly got thrown out of Parliament for saying so. The UK desperately needs major constitutional reform, first and foremost making it so that everybody's vote counts equally rather than this first past the post bullshit. And we also need rules in Parliament that are actually grounded in morality, but until we get there, how about we just make Dawn Butler the Queen of Parliament? I'm Femi, make sure you follow F Politics, so politics doesn't F you. Have a great week.